Ta-da!
Good morning.
Hi,
Good
everybody.
morning. Happy Monday. whatever day, whatever time.
Whatever time it is for you, Journeyer, happy that day.
Happy that thing. I got distracted because I finally I think we've been doing this show for 2 years, maybe. And I just learned that I can mirror my image so that when I'm looking at your picture, it actually looks like I'm looking at you instead of how it normally looks with me looking this way. So good job, me.
Wow. I like settings, like maybe after the show, you can tell me. Oh, look, I found it. Oh, okay. Now, wait, now I can't tell. Now I can't tell where I am.
Who knows? It's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
Anyway, what's our topic today?
Hi, we are still in the month of risk.
Ooh, it's a risky month.
It's a risky month, and I think we're doing, yeah. Here.
What's a life that has no risk? Okay, let's talk about a life with no risk in this weird fantasy world that you've created.
I just was like, we've been talking about risk and risk as it pertains to our values, risk as it pertains to our joy. How do we take risks and be like positive? How do we take risks? Blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, what if we just eliminate it altogether? No more risk for anyone. Is it possible? Because I figure that it's worth talking about. Yeah, it's worth talking about. It's worth like at least indulging those journeyers who are just like, I am going to skip the whole month of risk. Like, I'm just going to skip over it. I don't want anything to do with it because I don't want to take any more risks, and I don't want to take risks at all because I want my life to be risk free.
I think there's certainly people who are more risk averse or who are more cautious. But I think the concept of eliminating risk is impossible unless you like put yourself in a very secure bubble and you put that bubble in a vacuum.
Yeah.
A vacuum of
Go
space.
on.
You launch your bubble into space, but you know that your bubble is impermeable to space lack of pressure, and you're okay with being alone forever. Like that.
You hear that? You hear that, Journeyer? Did you take notes? I hope you took notes on how
I'm a very technical. Hey, NASA, are you hiring? I'm very technical. Yeah, so like there is no way to completely eliminate risk in your life.
Okay, so let's take let's take standard risk and say, okay, let's just take like the idea you're gonna wake up, you're gonna put your feet on the floor, you could slip, you're gonna get in your car, your bicycle, or even on foot, however you navigate the world, you're gonna do that. There's a little bit of risk there. There's risk in getting into relationships and crossing the street. Like these are sort of like the everyday risks. But let's talk about let's say that there's a person that you, the journeyer, is like, I get that risk. I mean, I understand that. That's just gonna find me. But I'm talking about like, okay, I have a routine, not
Mhm.
necessarily a job, like whatever your routine is. So maybe your routine is you take care of a dog in the morning, and then you take care of your grandma in the afternoon, and then you have a piece of chicken at night and you go to sleep. Maybe you watch a little Matlock.
Yeah, I think there are plenty of episodes where you can just rotate through Matlock. Yeah, uh-huh.
And then you go to sleep, and then you do that over and over again. And you're just thinking to yourself, and that's fine, Emily and Shannon. That's just fine. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to do that. And quote, what's so bad about that?
I think it depends on if you're living a life that's valuable to you, right? Like, um,
Here we go. I knew it.
you think about like something where I'm not interested in taking a risk on changing a job. I like my job, right? Like I'm able to do things that are valuable to me in my job, and uh I have no intention of looking for a new one, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like
Mhm.
that's a pretty common thing. Like some people might say like, "Ooh, take the dive and go just take the risk to do something different." But I have no
Just
need to do that thing right now, right?
right.
If there becomes a point where the things that I'm engaging in for a paycheck no longer are meeting what's valuable to me,
Mm.
then it might be worth it to take a risk.
What does that? I'm asking you as if it's an interview, but I'm just wondering what that looks like on stage, because I think we get to a space where we can get to a space where we feel like, hey, I know what it's like to get on stage and do improv, and I like it that way. I like it that way, and I don't want to change. I want to get on stage, do my Mickey Mouse voice, do my like reverse moonwalk edit, and I want to tell that pun that I always tell, and I want to get out of there because that's the way. I like it, and I don't
Okay.
want to change. Right?
Well, yeah, but then I think again, like kind of reevaluating, like is the safety of, doing all the tricks and characters that you do,
Mhm.
um, the safety of the pun that you always know, like all of those things, are those are those fine for you? Are those meeting what's valuable to you? If what's
Yeah.
valuable to you is putting on a good show for your audience and you know that those things are good, then okay. If if you value supporting your teammates and your teammates know that you're the Mickey Mouse and pun person, cool.
Right.
Uh, but maybe there comes a time where your teammates need more or your audience needs more.
Boom. Boom. That's where I was going. Right? Because sometimes it's not about you all the time on stage. I mean, in life, we can talk, we are on and off the stage, so we'll talk about that. But if your value system, if you have decided you're the Mickey Mouse person, the pun person, and the edit person, and that's all you do, like that is, I got somebody at my door for whatever reason.
Ooh,
That
we get a guest.
is uh, that is great for you. That is great for you. But if at any given time your team needs more than that and their value system changes, now we've got to look inside. All right, now where are we? Like, if your environment changes, what happens then? And yeah, then we're into this like, what's so bad about that? Oh, well, your place in your community can feel not so great, right?
Yeah, and you either adjust yourself or you leave, right? If
Yeah.
if what you value, say for instance, is being independent and having the spotlight on you, right?
Hmm.
Uh maybe at some point you might look around and be like, I could get more attention somewhere else than
Hmm.
an improv ensemble team. And maybe you leave. And that's fine. That's what's important to you. And probably your team didn't value making any one person a star,
The person,
right?
right? The
Uh,
the one. Hmm.
yep. So you can either squash that and be like, okay, that is no longer important to me. The team is more important to me, or you move on. Um,
Yeah.
and I think one thing that is interesting related to this, actually, I was at a talk. I went to a talk recently where we were discussing values, and in when we talk about a value system, it's a very American sort of thought to say like our values are freely chosen and they're individualized,
Mm.
right? But in other cultures, uh, your values are also your family's values or your country's values. And I
Yes.
think this actually relates really well to an improv team. Your values
Yes.
should be your team's values. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think if you hit a point where those don't match, then you gotta figure something out.
Right. Your your values, yeah, should your it is helpful if your values are in line with your community values,
Yeah.
right? And when those values change, absolutely, we do take a risk in either leaving, staying, or changing.
Mhm.
And this thing that we're talking about, can we just talk about leading a life that has no risk? I think actually, when I'm rereading this, it's like, yes, you might lead your life that has no risk. You might try to lead your life, be the center of your life that has no risk. And that takes sort of aligning your values with other people. Because if other people are like, right, okay, Shannon, she has no risk in her life. She does not take risks. So Emily, am going to build my friendship with Shannon so that she never has to take a risk in her life.
We always go to the same place for ice cream. We always get the
Right.
same ice cream. You know the owner, you know that there's no infection or listeria, like, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
Mhm.
And that might be okay for me, but if you change,
Mhm.
that then there is something that I have to start thinking about.
Yeah.
I really like this idea that you're talking about as far as like, oh, also, yeah, culture, because your friends, your culture, your neighborhood, your community, what what are their values? And we Americans really tout an independent
Yeah, we
thought.
are all about that.
It's
But
me.
but
Yes.
not everywhere, and not and honestly, to some extent, not even all, obviously not all Americans, because we are a salad bowl. I think is the current metaphor that we're teaching kids, that we're a salad bowl, right? Uh,
Yes. Oh, well, great.
instead of a melting pot.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but I mean, listen, as a woman, how many times do we have to align what's actually important to us to being a caregiver, right?
Right. Come on, Emily. Come on, let's preach it. Come on, come on. I knew this would get juicy. I was like, I'm gonna tell Emily I don't want to take risk in my life. She's gonna love that.
I'm gonna love it because I'm gonna get fired up and pull out some things. But yeah, so we kind of do this all the time. Well, not all the time, but like frequently, right? We adjust our values to the people that we were taking care of because that's how we're socialized in this society.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
um, but because of that, yeah, we do have to accommodate other people. And even if I were like, I want no risk ever, right? Let's say like I today am like, I don't want anything like I'm happy with not making any changes at all. Meanwhile, I have a 6-month-old downstairs who very much is valuing exploring the world and doing his best to do something dangerous.
Yeah, there's something about, let's see. I love this. He's exploring the world and doing his best to do something dangerous, right? There is something about encouraging that type of behavior, right? That challenges us to also be in that behavior, right? When we are encouraging people to, I want to see if I can take the phrase take a risk out, but when we are encouraging people to explore, right,
Mhm,
which is our bigger topic anyway, our yearly topic,
mhm,
when we're encouraging people to explore their boundaries, their and I'm thinking about on stage, like what haven't you tried, your characters, your environment, your storytelling, what haven't you tried? And I want to support Emily in her quest to try those things. In order to support her, I have to maneuver. I can't, I'm not a brick wall supporting this thing, so Emily can't get out, you know. I'm like
mhm.
a bubble, a soap bubble.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
I think a soap bubble is a
Yeah.
great idea, like, helping with boundaries. I've used the metaphor of, like, or the simile, I guess, to be like, Patrick Swayze in Ghost
Yeah.
sometimes.
Like you're just gently,
Just
gently
you're
helping.
just
Just
there. You're
guiding.
just there. You're there. Uh, and so, yeah, you do have to be in there and helping, and even if, um and so for that reason, like, my life can't just stay in stasis, right? Like,
Yeah.
this little human is always learning, growing, and exploring, and we always have to adjust to it.
I was thinking just now, I was like really thinking like, where could I go that none of that matters? And I was like, the woods. I'll just be a hermit in the woods and I never have to take a risk. And then I thought, but we're talking about the environment, right? The environment is here trying to support you anyway, and the environment of the woods is going to change. It's going to get
Yeah.
snowy, it's going to get hot. Even if it's wherever California and the weather is similar, things, the same birds aren't going to pass by, the same wind isn't going to pass by. You know, these, we have to take into consideration
Yeah,
our
the
environment.
bears in the woods are not gonna support you.
They're not,
They're
they're
gonna
not,
want your food is what they're
they
gonna
are,
want. They don't care about you.
they don't. Like, how can you feed them and how much? And is it what you have or is it what you are that they can
Mhm.
eat? And so, yeah, there is, I am enjoying this conversation because when I know that there are people, and we go through phases, right? It's not even just like there are people who don't want to take risks, but of course we go through phases in our bodies. Oh my gosh. Okay, we have a little bit of time. I was telling you at the very beginning of this program that I went, and whether you're for it or against it, I'm sorry. I went to a chiropractor. Okay, I went to a chiropractor, and aha, they were saying it seems like this injury that you had it a while ago, and what you've been doing is protecting it. Like you've been really walking around rigid to protect that part of your body. And because of that, there is rigidity in all of your parts. Yeah, like,
Mhm.
like, we're coming up, we're like really trying to protect. And I'm trying now to see where I was going with this thought. But the idea, the idea of it is as protected as you want to be, right? I don't want to take a risk. That's where it is. I like, okay, I hurt myself once. Ugh, I'm not going to hurt myself again. I'm just going to stay still and run like this and walk really slow and keep my jaw tight. When we're doing that, because we're not being flexible, we're still injuring ourselves and we,
Mhm.
we put ourselves in different types of risk. I was putting my body in different types of risk by trying to protect it. There
Yeah.
is no answer.
There is no eliminating risk.
And
You just can't. So like the best you can do is kind of mitigate it where you can when it's important to do so,
Mhm.
right? Talking about like how our body gets uh more messed up when we are protecting our injuries or protecting something and kind of overprotecting it.
Mhm.
Um, if we were instead to just like work it out a little bit more,
Right.
uh, if we were that mitigates that risk down the road, right? That risk is a lot smaller. Um, but it's difficult because it's delayed reinforcer, right? Like it's delayed
Mhm.
reinforcement of the thing.
Right.
Um, Whereas, like, I have exercises I need to be doing every single day because of how my body is. Like, not like cardio, like, I have specific, like, physical therapy exercises I need to be doing every day. But some days I'm tired and I don't wanna. And
Yeah.
the immediate reinforcement is greater for me to just hang out and play a video game
Yes.
than the
Yes.
delayed reinforcer of knowing I'll be
Ooh.
better.
Wow. Wowie.
But
Wow.
if I
Wow.
take that risk of being like, "Okay, let me just push myself just a little bit, push through being tired,"
Mhm.
then the reward later is greater, right?
Yes. That okay, so let's take that idea and put it back on the improv stage. This idea of the reward or the feeling being like, okay, the immediate feeling being like I'm taking care of myself, but the further out feeling of I'm letting my team down, or there is a potential for risk taking anyway, right? Putting yourself in more, I don't want to say danger. When we're talking about when we're talking about being on the improv stage, we're talking about learning because we're improvisers. So we're learning to take little calculated risks in storytelling, in character development, in relating to the audience. But if somehow we've been injured, like, oh, I told that joke and nobody laughed, or I said that thing and I feel embarrassed, and that injury, we protect it. We're just like, I'm never gonna do puns. I never do puns ever again. There are ways that I never do puns can spiral into different things, right? I don't tell jokes, or I'm not the center of attention. I don't draw attention to myself. I don't do these things. It can really spiral and build this protective, more rigid wall around you, which then separates you later down the line from trying those fun things,
Mhm.
with your team.
Yeah, it can I mean, and can generally really isolate you or make things difficult. I think I don't tell puns is a great such a good example. Because when I was directing that short form team, I feel like I had a lot of people who would be like, "No, I'm just really bad at pun games, so I don't wanna try anything new. I just wanna stick to the same game all the time."
Yeah.
And it becomes, as a teammate, very frustrating to interact with someone who is like, "No."
Right.
And that person, if the teammates say like, "Well, you're gonna do it anyway," they can feel, ostracized or picked on or hurt. So it's not good vibes all
No,
around. Not good
no,
vibes.
not good vibes. Not good vibes all around. That's this right here. What's so bad about not taking risks? Quote,
Not good
not
vibes
good vibes all around.
all around. Just it and so I think it's again working with that kind of like we talked about like a cost benefit analysis, like a risk uh when you're thinking about risk mitigation. I think you really do have to think about like what am I getting out of this now versus like what could this be like later?
Yes. Yeah, and I want to reinforce that because the what am I getting out of this now, you're not necessarily talking about there's it can be misinterpreted, right? Because what am I getting out of this now? You're talking about the benefit, like the hit of there's what's that wonderful serotonin, right? Like the hit of serotonin, feeling I mean, I feel safe, or I'm not embarrassed, or what am I getting out of this now? I can play video games a little longer, or I'm going to talk to my friend, or whatever it is. I'm going to put this thing off, or I'm not going to try this thing. Can feel really good. It can feel really safe. It can feel really empowering. Even sometimes it can mask itself. But exactly. What in the long run? What further down the line are you setting yourself up for that you may not try, that you're not going to do? What, not danger. We're staying away from the danger.
Yeah, it's like discomfort, maybe.
Discomfort. Yeah. Yeah. What is the outcome of you not taking this risk, this not doing this thing? And how many ways is it going to spiral out? How else is it going to show up? Because wowie zowie, this idea of like, oh, my back was hurting. Now my leg is hurting. Now my foot is hurting. Now my upper back, my shoulders, this idea of like, oh, I'm really protecting this part of me. And it's showing up negatively in other places in my body. Like, okay, I'm really on stage. I'm really protecting this part of me. I don't tell puns because I don't want to be embarrassed. And how is that showing up negatively, or an unwillingness to be flexible? How's it showing up in other places on stage and off the stage, actually? Because that's how we do this job. If it's showing up on stage, it's going to show up off the stage as well.
Yeah, for real. That's especially when we're improvising, there's not a lot of your skills, and what you're doing is probably generalizing into your real life.
Yes.
Right? If you are, and vice versa, if you are actually a supportive human, you're probably going to be more supportive on stage. If you're not actually a supportive human, you probably aren't as supportive off stage as you might think you are. And you want to know any of those improvisers that are like, I'm a great team player, and,
and you're like, huh, interesting.
No, you're really not.
It's very, it shows up. And like, yeah, can we just talk about leading a life that has no risk? Yeah, if you're not taking risks, I've got so many lovely visitors today. I'm teaching a class at UT, y'all. It starts today. It's my first day of school. If you are leading a life that has no risk, even if you think that that's what you're doing, risk is going to come and find you.
That bear in the woods, it's coming to you. He's coming.
It's wondering what it can eat, because it's going to eat your food. So it's like, and it's okay. Just have a little bit of extra bear food, just cook a meal, cook a couple of different things that you can feed the bear, because tying up your food or eating all of your food and trying to shove it in your stomach, like, this is how I'll protect it, nobody will get the food. That's not going to help you.
It's not practical.
It's not practical. Oh my gosh. I think we did it. What do you got? Like, if you were going to leave, what would be your leaving remarks for our journeyers today?
It's okay if you feel comfortable with not taking a risk, not like stepping outside of your comfort zone, if what you're doing is valuable to you. But that bear's coming. So
the bear is coming. I feel like I just want to agree. I don't know. Like, what? The bear's coming. It's okay. The risk is going to find you. Yeah. That's if
just
you're
be ready
not,
for that bear.
Just get ready for it. I think you did great.
Thanks. I think you did great.
I think we all did great. Friends,
journeyers,
you're
doing great.
You're doing great. Like go explore what risks you can take within your life. Know that risk is about to find you on and
Off the stage. Goodbye.
bye.